Hello everybody, my name's Carrie. Thank you so much for being here. I am recording this today on Thursday, May 26th, 2022, and I have been off work this week because I've been sick. I'm slowly feeling a little bit better and went to the doctor today and he's like, yep, you got a virus. Doesn't seem to be COVID. They tested and I'll hopefully find that out tomorrow, but yeah, just been kind of under the weather this week, but I have a gift that I made that I'm going to give to the recipient tomorrow. And so I thought, you know what? I showered today and I'm going to try and record this. So I may have to stop a few times to cough, but see if we can get through this. I know it's been a while. I was going to record last weekend, but that's when I came down with the flu. So, here I am. You get this. It is feeling very muggy today. I think it's supposed to start raining pretty soon and it's about 70-ish outside, so I'm feeling very sticky. But got the window open because it just feels warm. So it's been a while. I've been busy, aside from this last week where I haven't done much of anything but catch up on stuff I shouldn't even need to be watching, but you start watching stuff just because there's nothing else on. Documentaries, movies that are okay, just to have something to keep me entertained. So, all right, let's get started. Anything I share pattern-wise, product-wise, anything like that, if there's a link, I will put it down below. If I forget something and it's something you want to know about, just message me and I will get you that information. But otherwise, I'll put everything in the description bar down below. So as you can see, I finished my deco quilt. That was in progress the last time I recorded and it's all done. So this is Deco Quilt by Lo and Behold Stitchery. And I am super happy with it. The fabrics are all from Connecting Threads. And I shared my inspiration and all that stuff with it. I'm super happy with the way it turned out. And it was a very fun quilt to make. Very good instructions. And I love the end result. So now that's going to go in the closet for a while till I'm ready to quilt it. So that's done. But fun quilt to do. And then I also finished quilting on the Peace and Love quilt. It is by the Cloth Parcel. This was a kit that I bought on Craftsy years ago with the intentions of making it for my friend's daughter if and when she ever got married. She is getting married like in a month from today. So it is quilted. I'm working on the binding, but I'll show you what I did in the quilting. All right, so this is the quilt. I've got some binding clips because I'm still working on the binding, but I have it the right way up. Yes. So I had mentioned that I wanted to do, and I'm not sure what's showing up because I can't really see it, but let me move closer. I wanted to do the couple's initials. I hope that's showing up. And so I just stitched that in. I cut it out of freezer paper, did a design on my Cricut, cut it out of freezer paper, ironed that on, and then stitched following that. Peeled that off, and then I had my design. So I just did, in all the gray, I just did wavy lines, and in the white section, I did like stacked coins or stacked rainbows or whatever it is you want to say. And then in the heart, I just did continuous curve with a ruler and just continued that throughout the whole quilt. So I am happy with the way it turned out. I've just got two sides left to finish hand sewing the binding. It'll go in the wash and then it's going to be ready for the wedding. So that turned out great. Yeah, I have nothing else to say about that. It is what it is. I've talked about it enough, I feel like. So now that my deco quilt is done, and I was going to make another quilt I had fabric for that was a quilt my friend designed. And then I got a different idea. So Jim's mom's got dementia and she is no longer able to live by herself. So she is living with Jim's got 3 sisters. 2 of his sisters live together and she's living with them. So everybody's in the process of cleaning out mom's house, getting ready to sell it. And so they're sorting through everything. And his sister says, oh, we found some of Dad's shirts in the back of Mom's closet. Jim's dad passed in 94. And so they've got some flannel shirts. And they're like asking Jim, do you want them? And Jim's dad was a big guy and Jim's a slim guy, so there's no way it would even fit. And I said, you know what? And maybe it was because I had a fever, I don't know. But I said, I can make a quilt with those. And I can make a quilt for your sisters. Wouldn't that be something neat for them to be able to have that memory, a little memento, and and then, you know, they'll have a quilt to use. Now, I've made them quilts. Everybody got a quilt. And so Jim's like, oh yeah, that'd be great. They were really excited about it. And I said, you know what, while you're going through mom's stuff, see if there's any shirts of your mom's, even though she's still living, and I'll just incorporate both of them so that, I mean, eventually his mom's going to pass and then it's both the parents. And, so they were all excited. Yes, yes, yes. So they gave me some shirts and they're plaid flannel shirts. Luckily, Jim's dad was a big guy, so I have a lot of fabric on Dad's stuff. And then just a cotton shirt of his mom. So I've got these plaid shirts, and so I thought, okay, I'll start thinking of what I want to do. And I kind of started with thinking of, there's a traditional quilt pattern called an Irish chain, and I thought, well, that's pretty simple. It's basically just squares, keeping it kind of simple. And you know, Jim's dad had some Irish heritage and, you know, that kind of stuff. That'd be kind of cool. Okay, fine. Well, then I thought about it longer and I'm like, you know, it would be really cute. I saw this pattern that had like dogs, and the whole family is big dog lovers and stuff. I'm like, that would be cuter. Don't you think that'd be kind of cuter? So there's this pattern by So Fresh Quilts called Doggone Cute by Lorna McMahon. And so I thought, well, what if I did, you know, where the color is, that's going to be the plaid. I'm like, wouldn't that be cute? He's like, oh yeah, I think they would love that. Well, I didn't really like just this grid format. The pattern has 2 different patterns for 2 different size blocks. You can make a 9-inch block or an 18-inch block. And I said, you know what would be cool, because I have to complicate things, is if I made some 9-inch blocks and some 18-inch blocks and have more of a random setting. So I got on my EQ8, which is Electric Quilt. It's a computer program for designing quilts. And I know there's a feature on there for doing a random setting so that things aren't just in a grid. A lot of times, like even that's a grid. And most quilts are designed that way. But I thought, I think it'd be kind of cool if it was like some big ones and some little ones and all that. So I put it into EQ8. I did a rough mock-up of what a dog block would look like. So this picture you're going to see isn't what the exact dog block will look like, but it gave me an idea of where things will go. And I came up with this. So I'll be using the pattern for the dogs, but I'll lay it out like this. And then I thought, ooh, in EQ8 there was these little paw prints in there. And I thought that's kind of cute to add a little something. And I thought, well, and if I made them all the same, like just make a bunch of these blocks, they all get roughly the same quilt. I mean, the dogs might be made out of the different plaids, but if I do the paw prints in a color representing each sister, then they would have something special for them. So we're like, oh, that's so exciting. That I think this will be great. This will be great. Now these are pieced. They're not foundation piece. They're like you cut the squares and sew them together kind of a thing. The paw prints are foundation piece, which is paper piecing, and EQ8 gives you the pattern for that. And I thought, okay, so I was pretty proud of myself that I figured this out, because I don't do computer stuff very well, and I figured it out. So I was explaining this to some friends and they're like, you've just made this so complicated. I'm like, I know. And guess what? I made it even more complicated with the idea of taking one of the pockets, because a few of the shirts have a pocket with a button closure of some sort, printing off basically the label. Maybe a poem or something about the what it is on, and quilt a little rectangle, little like coaster kind of a thing, and slip it in the pocket, and then that's sewn onto the back of the quilt. So it has a label, but it also has the pocket with a button. So just keep making it more and more complicated as I go along. Started off with, we'll just do a simple Irish chain with some squares. That'll be fine. No, let's completely change it. And then I thought it would be really cool if I could get them all done and give them to them for Christmas, because they would be surprised. They have no idea what I'm planning or what I'm doing or what they're to even expect. The finished quilt should end up about 50 by 62, so they're not huge. They're just be like lap quilts when you're sitting on the couch kind of a thing. I don't even know if they'd use them. They may just fold them up and keep them as a keepsake. But I thought, oh, that would be really fun, but that's a lot of piecing, and it's a lot. But, I have all summer. So I ordered some fabric, figured out based on the pattern, the written pattern, the purchase pattern, and how much it needs to do the different dogs and stuff. Background, I ordered fabric. So I got fabric from Connecting Threads. I'm going to use this denim blue because it goes well with all those plaid colors. And then the different paw prints will be done in these. So you got like a purple, a bright cobalt blue, and a green. And so those will be the paw prints, and then the dogs they'll have white faces with the plaid, the shirts as the ear and face coloring and all that kind of stuff. I think it'll be really cool. It's just a really big job when you figure I'm making 3 of them. So what I think I'm going to do before I commit and start cutting into the fabric and all that kind of stuff is I'm just going to take some scrap fabric that I have, make a block, make one of the dogs, and just see how the directions are, because I don't know anything about this designer. See how she's written the directions, see how everything goes together. If it goes smoothly and I think, okay, yeah, this is actually written really well and that kind of stuff, then I'll go forward with it. If it's like, oh, this is crap and these directions are terrible and I didn't enjoy working on this, then I'll go back to the Irish chain and just do squares. And I asked Jim, I'm like, what do you really think? And he goes, I think the dogs are really cute. I'm like, okay. It's a once in a lifetime kind of quilt. It will have great meaning to everybody that gets one. Jim doesn't want one. He doesn't have sentimental attachments to material things, so he's like, I don't care, it doesn't matter. So so that's what I'm gonna do, something along those lines. So I'm hoping maybe this weekend I can sit down and do a practice block and see what I think. So stay tuned on that one. That could be my summer project, which means any quilt that I had kind of planned is on the back burner, which is fine. I'm not making a quilt for anything in particular, so it's all good. I haven't touched my temperature quilt. I'm like behind by like 6 weeks. I've fallen way behind, and I need to catch up on that. And that was going to be what I was going to like, okay, I'll get going on that. It's just been busy with other things, and so now I've got a dog quilt, 3 dog quilts to make. So I'll catch up, and I don't have to have that done this year. The temperatures will always be there, and I can get to that. So I did do a craft project like a week or so ago for my friend Michelle's birthday. And if anybody knows Michelle of the Naughty Knitwits, you know that she likes shiny, sparkly things. And she also has everything she needs. So I am hoping this is something she likes, as with anything that I make for a gift. And it's unusual, but I like it. So there's that. I made her a bird bath. And let me just show you the bird bath I made. So I made a bird bath out of glass pieces. Oh gosh, it's heavy. So this is made with, I went to a couple different thrift shops and collected different vessels, and, you know, found a nice dish for the top for the birds to take their bath. I stuck on, those are just those pebbly kind of things you put in a vase to hold flowers, so that when the light shines through it, it gives it like a blue color, and then it gives the birds something to kind of hold on to when they're in there taking a bath. And so, you know, some stuff's upside down and some stuff is right side up, and it's a bird bath. So I did that. Like I said, got some glassware at the thrift stores, washed them, and then I got this aquarium sealant. So it's meant to be wet and stay sealed and all that kind of stuff, and just kind of glued things together. Took 2 pieces, did those, took 2 pieces, did those, and just did that. And when those were set and dried, you know, add them together and let things set and dry. And so it's ready to go. And I'm going to go see her tomorrow, and fingers crossed she likes it. I think it would be really pretty, especially out at her place. She has a gorgeous piece of property. And, you know, out in the yard with the light shining through all this, like, faceted glass, I think would be really pretty. So, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Otherwise, it could make a nice side table. As long as you don't knock it over. I've never made anything like that before, but I have seen it done. I did not come up with the idea. I saw it done many years ago. And, I don't know, I just had the idea that maybe she would like something like that. So for somebody who has everything, it's really hard to get creative and find something she doesn't have. So we'll see how that goes. All right. So let's get into like the yarny, knitty, crochet-y kind of stuff. I have not touched my Lily backpack. It's the crocheted mosaic crocheted backpack that I'm working on. I haven't touched it in a while because I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. So this is where I am. And I got through all of the flower section. The yarn is a gradient and it was starting to turn blue and I was losing the contrast. So I cut out a section and moved on. So I cut out because it got into this blue and it was like really not contrasty enough, and just got into where it started to go purple, which I love, obviously. So now I got into where the pattern starts to look a little more complicated, and this is time consuming. This is a pretty complicated pattern. In fact, we were going to do this as a crochet along with my local knit group. Everybody was all gung-ho about it. Several of us started it. A couple of them have ripped it out. The one person who is really into crochet said, nope, it's a terrible pattern. I'm not even going to do it. Like, okay, but now I'm committed. So I love the way it's looking, but then the patterning that goes from here on up, from looking at the pattern, gets more complicated. And I'm like, am I really going to be able to do this? And so I put it on hold. And I thought I could just take this, line it, and it would be a bag. Right? Because the bottom, I could make the bottom so it's stiff, and it could be a decent sized knitting bag. So I could just end there and not make a backpack out of it. So it's not all lost. And so I thought before I did make the final decision, kind of sit on it and think about it. I'm not super excited about going forward because it just looks complicated. Personally, I don't recommend the pattern. It's hard. It's really hard. And that came from somebody that was a crocheter, not just me that doesn't know how to crochet. That came from an expert crocheter who's like, yeah, that's a pattern. That pattern's not good. So take that for what it's worth, right? I have made some progress on my Excuse Me poncho by Stephen West. And I guess it goes this way. So I'm getting pretty far. You know, it's slow going because you're getting more and more stitches, and you know, it's brioche, so you have to do each row twice. So this is supposed to get to where it's, I don't know, 17 inches, and I think I'm close to 12 maybe. So I still have a ways to go before I do something else. I don't know what else happens at 17 inches, but this is actually very easy, very easy. If you want an intro to to brioche, this is a very easy pattern to do because you're only doing these simple increases here. Nothing fancy, and then it's just the basic 2-color brioche stitch, which is really very easy. So I can sit and watch TV and do this. I'm still in my first balls, and it's supposed to take about 3 balls. So I have a ways to go. Obviously, it's going to be a poncho, and right now it's like a cowl. So it better get super cold this winter because this is going to be really warm. You know, the DK weight with brioche, which makes it kind of like a 2-layer fabric. Yeah, look at the inside. I kind of like that better. It just shows the stripes better. But anyway, it can be worn either way. So progress on that. But you know what? This past week with me being sick, I haven't even knit. I haven't done anything because I just did not have the brain power. I had no energy, and so it didn't happen. But since I last spoke with you, I did finish my hand spun sock. I should have put it in a blocker, but you know what? I'm not going to. So there you go. That's kind of cool, right? This was yarn. It's a Superwash Merino Nylon by Wound Up Fiber Arts. And I spun it really thin. Like there's some spots that are very thin, and it's a 3-ply because I chain plied it. So, you know, did pretty darn good. I'm pretty proud of myself. And I think it's just really fun colors. I'm sorry, I'm going to try and cut all that coughing out. So, started on the next one. Goodness gracious. So, they'll be fraternal twins. They're not going to match because it's not self-striping, but they'll match enough, and I will love them. And then I've started a new project that I'm still kind of trying it out. So I purchased some Holst Coast. Yes, Coast, which is wool cotton blend. It's very soft. And I couldn't find who you were. I went back on previous episodes looking for the comment. I couldn't find who you were, but suggested they use this because they live in a warm climate state. And I thought, oh, okay, I'm already a warm climate state right here, and that might be really good. So I got this. My issue with it is, let's see if I can find it, that by itself, it breaks really easily. And that's probably because the fibers of the cotton are short. And I thought, I don't know about using it single-stranded, because I'm afraid that if I made a sweater or something out of that, it's not gonna hold up. So I thought, okay, I'll double strand it. So then I was on a search. What am I going to make? And I'm a little hesitant to make a sweater. I started to swatch for a sweater that I thought was going to be perfect for it. And I just didn't like the way it looked. It had a lot of texture to it. And I don't know, it just didn't look right to me. So I thought, I really want to try and make a wrap, like a rectangular wrap. So I can just throw it over my shoulder. You can wear it like a bulky scarf. You know, I have shawls. I don't have a wrap. Let me try that. So, I haven't gone very far. It's just ribbing right now. But I am working on the Fiore wrap by Sonder Yarn Company, which is one of the ladies that used to own Espace Tricot. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. And it's stockinette, got ribbing on the ends. And then along one side is like a lace, kind of a leaf design that goes up the side. So I thought, okay, that could be good. You know, you get to that lace section, you got to pay attention for a little bit, and then you're just doing stockinette. So we'll see how that goes. The yarn is very soft, and it blocked out nicely. I did a swatch because I was going to try and do a sweater, and I can't remember what I was going to do, but I swatched, and it blocked out nicely. But we'll see. It still feels like it's cotton. You know, there's just something that does feel different about it. But I thought with the fur wrap, I think it'll be fine. So it'll probably take me a while because it's long. And then the grand finale is I finished my Outre yoke sweater. Buttons and everything. So let's go over this. Here is my finished sweater. I'm a little sweaty right now, so I'm not going to put it on. But I'll hold it up as if I am. So this was knit using Holst Garn. They're super soft in a color. I think it might be umber, but I'm not sure. And I got aubergine and space were the color work parts, and I did a little stripe at the bottom. And I found these buttons. I had the idea of doing some wooden buttons that I would dye. And I found these buttons on Etsy. So they look like this. My friend Todd says they look like honeycomb cereal, which he's right. And that was from Elysian Earwear. I'll put the link down below. So I got the buttons, and I thought, well, I want to try and dye them because I want purple wood buttons. So I did a little video and I posted it on my Instagram of how I did it. I basically just took a container, a little plastic container that I use for like dyeing and paint and stuff like that. Put some warm water in there, just did some purple dye, stuck them in there. They soaked for about 5 minutes and let them dry. So I thought about covering them or like doing a varnish or something on it. And then I thought, well, I know that like when you do like a wax or a varnish and it gets wet, you know, like you think of a cup on a table, it leaves a ring because it doesn't respond to water very well. And I thought, oh, I didn't want that to happen. Maybe I'll just let it go. So I did sew them on, but I'm going to take them off because I took a wet Q-tip and rubbed them and the dye is going to come off. So I don't want that to bleed when I wash the sweater again. So I will take them off, and I looked online and I can get like a varnish that you would use like on outdoor furniture or a deck or something that's meant to get wet and it won't get weird. So of course I need like a teaspoon, so I'll have to buy a gallon, I'm sure. But I think the finishing touch on that is it's just perfect. The sweater fits me very nicely. Blocking it out or washing and blocking it. So somebody else made a comment, and like I said, I looked back to try and find these comments and I couldn't. When you wash it, use a little bit of Dawn dish soap. So when you get this particular yarn from Holst Garn, and maybe there are other yarns, there's a lot of spinning oil on it, which is I think why you get it so cheaply, because it is minimally processed. And so they haven't washed that out of it yet. So it feels kind of rough when you're knitting with it. I mean, it didn't bother me to knit with it, but it's not something you'd want like on your body. So when I got done, before I steeked it, because this was a steeked sweater, my first steek as well, I put just like a little dab of Dawn dish soap in there and submerged this in the tub and just kind of moved it around a little bit, and then the water just turned like mud. And that was some color, and which is common to happen, as a little bit of color will come off, but it was all those oils that are on there. So I ended up washing it like 4 times. I just kind of washed that and I thought, okay, I got to get this out of that dirty water. Cleaned the water, did the same thing with Dawn dish soap again, and I'm talking just like a little teeny bit, and washed it about 3 times like that, and then I did another wash in like a wool wash because I thought, well, that's supposed to kind of condition it a little bit. Blocked it out. And then I did the steek, and I watched some videos, and I did the crochet. I had it was a planned steek, so I had 5 stitches in the center that were designated for the steek as per the pattern. The pattern was fantastic. It is by Skein Deer Knits, and she writes a very good pattern. And so I did a crochet up the side, and then I cut it. And I wasn't really, at first I was like, okay, I hope I'm cutting this in the right spot. And then I just went for it because I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? I'm sure a lot. And then picked up, all I had to do was just pick up the button band, because you do the ribbing first on the neckline. So it's just the button band. I knit the button band, marked where I wanted my buttons. I have and I couldn't find it to show you guys, but I have one of those things. It's like a scissory thing. It's for placing buttons on sewing and stuff. I've put it somewhere and I don't know where it is, but I put one end on the top and one end on the bottom, and then it evenly spaced where the buttons would go in between. Marked those, made the buttonholes, did the other side, And then I washed it again, blocked it again, because then that didn't, the button band had all those oils on it, like it has a weird texture to it. So it's been washed several times. It's holding up very well. I haven't even washed it yet or worn it yet. And then I sewed on the buttons. So very, very happy with it. It is very lightweight. This yarn is very light. So I think this is going to be a good sweater for me, because I don't need a thick sweater. I don't need a big sweater, but when you get chilled, it feels kind of nice. And the fact that it's wool, so they're super soft, is half Shetland and half merino, I think, if I'm remembering properly. So yeah, there you go. So that is my Rhinebeck sweater, because I told you I was going to Rhinebeck, right? So yay! And I kind of missed it when I got done with it. It was like, oh, it's done. I'm done with that. It was kind of a fun sweater to make. So who knows? Maybe I'll make another one, or find one of Ellie's other patterns, because it was a really nice pattern to follow. Okay, so that's really all of my makes. I did get a couple of skeins of yarn that I have to share because they're so pretty. So needles at the ready. Kevin sent me sidewalk chalk. Isn't that fun? That's a really cool color. And you're turning violet, Violet, because that's what I say to Violet all the time. So I got these two, and I started, of course, immediately like, what can I make with these? But I couldn't, nothing was jumping out at me, and I'm like, don't force it. Something will come, and these will be perfect for it. So needles at the ready on Etsy. I'll link it down below. He's got some really pretty colorways. Still waiting for Aaron to get his shop up and running. So anyway, goodness, I felt like I had a crap ton of stuff to talk about, and I feel like that's it now. So hey, I made it. Didn't cough too much. So anyway, I hope you are all staying healthy. There is a flu bug going around, just so you know. And but so far it doesn't seem to be COVID, so that's okay. But it's a long weekend here in the States. It's Memorial Weekend, and there's a lot of people will travel and go camping and do that kind of stuff. So if you are, please be safe. Yeah, I will see you hopefully sooner than later. Bye.